This is the Galvan Swing, and it's Galvan's brand new spay-specific reel. And in fact, it's their first ever spay-specific reel, and today I'm here to review it. Yes, you heard it right. Galvan has come out with a brand new reel. And while it's been a couple of years since their last release, this one is a little bit more interesting, I think. They've taken the insides of the Galvan grip, which is their high-performance saltwater reel, and converted it into a spay reel. And the other thing they've done, as you can see, is given it sort of a little bit of an old school look. So for a company that's California-based, West Coast-based, to come out with a cool West Coast steelhead reel, I think is pretty neat. And if every other Galvan reel is any indication, it's gonna be a really good reel too. So let's dive right into our 5 factors to determine exactly how good this new swing is, starting with the drag. And the drag on the swing is gonna be just like the drag on the grip, which is to say, pretty good. And if you're a steelhead angler, this reel is gonna have plenty of drag to stop even the biggest of steelhead. When we tested the Galvan grip as part of our big game shootout, it came out at about 12.5 pounds of drag. However, when I try this one, it actually seems even bigger. Either way, 12 pounds or more is plenty for any steelhead or salmon. And of course, being based on that saltwater grip, you're gonna get a fully sealed drag. So if you wanted to use this swing in the salt, you definitely can. Additionally, this drag has about 3.5 turns of adjustability, which, like we said in our grip video, is a little bit more than I'd really like ideally. You're just gonna be turning that knob a couple of extra times to dial in that drag. However, if you're an angler that really values precision over ease of adjustment, you might like it because you can dial that in really precisely with those extra turns. All in all, the drag on this swing is excellent, so let's move on to the spool. And we've got a max diameter of 3.86 inches, a width that is admittedly a little bit wider than we'd really like to see these days, of about 1.3 inches, and an arbor size of just a hair under 2 inches. Now, I'd say for a reel that is in the 10, 11, 12 size for a single-hander, a 2-inch arbor is quite small. But there's a reason that they did that. And the reason is so they can accommodate those bigger spay lines. And the result is that you're gonna get an incredible amount of capacity on this reel. If you were to compare this to a single-hand reel, you could fit 350 yards of 30-pound Dacron with an 11 weight. And while I don't have an exact spay to single hand conversion chart in front of me, I'm gonna say you'll comfortably be able to fit about 250 yards with that 550 grain Skagit line. And given that this is the 8.9 model, that feels totally reasonable, if even on the big side for capacities. Of course, the downside of having that smaller arbor is that retrieval rate is slower. So this reel retrieves at about 8.8 inches per turn, or 136 or so turns for that 100-foot fly line. Of course, being a spay line, you're gonna have a longer running line and a really short head, so it doesn't really make that much sense to talk about a 100-foot line, but you have it anyway. And 8.82 inches is pretty slow. And if you get a steelhead or a salmon that turns and comes toward you, you're probably gonna wish you had more capacity. Now, that being said, it's still gonna be way, way, way better than, say, a Hardy Perfect or a Hardy Cascapedia that's got that traditional arbor. So if you're coming from a traditional old school reel, this swing is gonna be way better. However, if you're comparing it to the most modern high performance reels out there, the retrieval rate is a little bit on the slow side. If Before we continue, I wanted to let you know about Trident Travel, our new destination travel service where you'll get our expert planning and guidance at no additional cost. That means no credit card fees, no booking fees, and for a limited time, you'll even earn Trident rewards on your travel bookings. So for every trip you book, you'll be earning valuable points that you can use towards free tackle here at Trident. Recently, we've had some clients go on some absolutely fantastic trips like bone fishing in Belize, permit fishing in Mexico, and Arctic char fishing in Iceland. So if you're thinking about taking a fly fishing trip, Trident Travel is the way to do it. We've got a ton of great destinations, excellent service, and even more destinations being added every month. Check us out at tridentflyfishing.com/travel. Up next is the weight, and the swing comes in at 10.1 ounces, which is definitely heavy. And there are some reasons for this. One is you can see the backside of this frame is not ported at all. That's definitely going to add some weight. Additionally, as you'd expect for a spay-specific reel, we have a full cage, and that also adds some weight. But because this is a spay reel, weight is not anywhere near as important as it would be for a single-hander. So while 10 ounces is a lot, it's not an obscene amount, particularly for an 8-9 that you might be fishing on, say, a 14-foot rod. So this is gonna be something that you absolutely can reasonably use on those longer rods. If you were putting this on a 10 to 11 foot switch rod, it might get a little heavy, but that's gonna be personal preference. And I don't think that weight on this reel is a deal breaker by any means. Up next is the sound, and well, let's take a listen. As you can tell, the swing sounds great. It's got a slightly differentiated incoming and outgoing, and I think the incoming honestly sounds a bit better than the outgoing, which is a little disappointing because you really are looking for that awesome drag ripping sound when you do finally hook that steelhead. But this does sound pretty good. It's just no Hardy perfect. So let's move on to the ergonomics, and the ergonomics on this reel are also pretty much the same as the grip. And we've got a really nice, easy to grab drag knob here. I will say that it is not the most tactile, most easy to turn knob because it's just a little bit slicker than the real top-notch reels out there like the Sage Thermo. We've got that same kind of design on the spool side, but because you're not going to be actively using this on the water while you're fighting a fish, it's not really an issue. And the design for how this spool releases, I think, is actually really cool. It doesn't have a cap that comes off. The spool just sort of slides right off the frame. It's pretty neat. And the handle is also really good. It's got this nice elongated big game handle, and I honestly think this is one of the best handles out there. All in all, you've got a really fantastic package and one that's really user-friendly. And now it's time to talk price, which for this 8-9 size, which I should mention is 8-9 sized spay rods, not single hand rods. So you should buy the appropriately sized reel for your spay rod with the swing. So 5-weight spay rod, 5-weight swing, not go up a size or two. This reel retails for $590, which puts it squarely in competition with the Sage Spay 2. And I'd say for a super strong drag with great ergonomics, and I think most importantly, a great family-owned, made in the USA company, $590 is not that bad. I think there is definitely some value here, even though that is a very expensive reel. They've done a great job, and I think the reel looks good and feels good, and let's face it, those steelhead runs are back now. So let us know what you think about this swing and what your favorite spay reel is by leaving us a comment in the box below. And of course, if you're enjoying this review, please let us know by hitting the like and subscribe button because it really helps us out. And of course, if you've got questions about this new swing or any reel in the Galvan lineup, give us a call at 888-413-5211 or email us 24/7 at support@tridentflyfishing.com. I'm Ben. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.